The international community continues to grow in the city of Bowling Green. The increased diversity creates new challenges in effectively meeting the needs of this population. In this edition of Spotlight on Bowling Green, we will take a closer look at the International Community Liaison and the services offered through this position, as well as the programs that have been developed and implemented throughout city government.
Well, the position is Community Service Specialist, International Communities Liaison. It's a pretty long title, but the position began, I was hired in September of 2011. The general overview, I guess, of the position is the purpose is to be able to coordinate the city's work and effectively communicating with our diverse international community. That's in a nutshell what the position is about. How that happens, it's in a number of ways. So it doesn't change the way that the city provides services. It provides the same quality services. It's just a means of effectively reaching out to our diverse population.
Well, it started a couple of years ago, actually, my part in toward the end of 2010. And Monica Woods, who at that time was a police officer and was charged with dealing, among other duties, with the international community. She was getting ready to leave city government for another opportunity, and she brought myself and actually former Mayor Lane Walker. She met with us in the mayor's office and talked about this international program that she had visions of, and that was really, she was doing a lot of things in the police department, but sensed it needed to be all across city government. So that's when I became immersed in it, and we held some focus groups, with Monica being a part of that before she left, with mostly international citizens. And so out of those focus groups, we started working at how can we better serve our population in Bowling Green as a city government. Well, what happened at that time is city manager Kevin DeFebo actually came up with an idea about having a international liaison position, taking a part-time position, making it full-time. And that's how we ended up with the international liaison position.
One aspect of the International Community Liaison is to develop internal resources for city employees. These resources aid employees to better communicate with the international community, as well as educating them on different cultures within the city.
The position was created under the Neighborhood and Community Services Department, but it is a citywide position, and so that means that it is accessible to any department across the city. So the internal focus of those services is to strengthen the capacity of our city staff and personnel to be able to effectively interact with individuals from diverse cultures. So part of that is providing resources to staff and personnel on how to do that. Part of those services that were created were under a language access plan. And that language access plan provides resources such as face-to-face interpretation or telephonic interpretation services that are available 24/7 for city staff to be able to communicate with individuals who may speak a language other than English. And it's a very easy way to be able to bridge that gap. In addition to that, the Language Access Plan contains resources in terms of training and development for city staff to understand the diversity of our population and how to effectively interact in cross-cultural situations. Bowling Green is actually a very diverse community. According to the 2010 census, it states that approximately 10.9% of the population in the city limits of Bowling Green is of foreign-born descent. So that means that we have over 10,000 individuals in our community that were born outside of the United States. But about 13.5% of the total population in Bowling Green speaks a language other than English at home. And so when we talk about coordinating efforts in terms of reaching out to this diverse community, one of the primary focus of that is ensuring that we have accessibility to somebody who speaks a language other than English. We have a new series that we're launching that is the New Neighbor series, and it is for staff and city personnel only. and it is an opportunity for them to learn about the diverse cultures that reside here in Bowling Green. And they can learn a little bit more about the history, about the traditions, why are there Nepalese here in Bowling Green, and how large is that community. And what we have to realize is that in many situations, individuals who come from other countries may not have been used to a system of government as the one that we have set up here at the city of Bowling Green. And so just because you think that, well, it would be common sense that you would have to have a permit in order to do an addition to a building or to a construction, for someone who was born in another country, that may not have been the case for them. And so there are situations like this and that we're able to interact with individuals and be able to assess what the situation is and help them out in their own language, and so that in the end they are provided with the services that they need, and they're also being able to follow our regulations and the rules that the city has put forth.
In addition to the internal services for employees, the International Community Liaison is responsible for developing external programs that help the international residents integrate more easily into our city. Many of these programs utilize the talents of leaders within the international community.
There's the component that's external, the outreach. How do we create that bridge and let individuals in our community who were born outside of the United States but have now made Bowling Green their home, how can they be able to access city services? When we talk about diversity, 10.9% of the population is foreign born, but that essentially means that there is a larger group among that population. About 6.5% of that total group is of Hispanic or Latino origin. That means that they speak Spanish as their primary language. And so the position is really focusing on reaching out to that sector of the population. The services that we provide have been a number of initiatives. One of the initiatives has been the Amigos Resource Network. Amigos means friends. So essentially, it brings together different individuals within the Latino or Hispanic population, and we connect through this network. And the network facilitates an opportunity to share resources and information. Because one of the things that we have noticed is that there is no means of communication to let information be known to the Hispanic or Latino community. So the Amigos Resource Network serves as a monthly opportunity for individuals to come and share information and build a network of resources. In addition to that, also facilitate a bilingual e-newsletter. These are announcements that are made on an electronic format, and the announcement appears in English and then immediately following in Spanish. And so you don't have to know Spanish in order to communicate. If you want something to be known to the Latino or Hispanic community, you can send that announcement to me and I can provide it in Spanish and in English through this e-news format. Another really great initiative that the city has begun has been to partner with a local radio station, WKCT, which is an AM radio station. The program is called La Nuestra, which basically means it's ours. And it is a way of symbolizing a community-based effort. It airs every Sunday from 3 to 5, and it is completely in Spanish. It is a variety show. It contains some music. It contains segments with information, job opportunities, sports, news. There's a health segment. And I host a segment myself from the city services, information, resources. I interview individuals from across the Hispanic community who want to share information about what the programs or resources that they might provide within certain organizations, churches, or other groups within the community doing work. And so that has been a great way to be able to reach out to this sector of the population through a mass medium of communication. But we also want to make sure that the city is accessible to our diverse community, no matter where they come from. And so another way that we've been able to do that is by establishing the International Communities Advisory Council. We call it ICAC for short, and this has been an opportunity for members of our international community who are viewed as leaders in their particular community group to have a voice in local government. And so the council itself currently has 16 members. The 16 members represent different countries, and we come together every other month at the Commission Chamber and we discuss different needs and challenges that those communities are facing. But above all, it gives them an opportunity to show a leadership role and to come together and actually do something about those needs and challenges.
I grew up in Baghdad, born and raised in Baghdad and with my family. I have a traditional family. My mom is a housekeeper. My father is a teacher. I worked in a computer business, and I stayed in the computer business until the war happened, and after that I quit working with my computers and start working with the U.S. Army as interpreter and cultural advisor, thinking that it will help my country and do something good for the future. But little that I know that I will be hunted by what I've done over there. So after that, I stayed 7 years working with the U.S. Army, and after that, it was impossible for me to stay over there. So I had to move to the state and start living here. The International Community Advisory Council, it's a multicultural council that they come from different backgrounds, from different environments. So each individual is unique, just being himself and come from that environment. Not just the involvement as a council and come up with ideas that to improve life. It will help the city, it will help us to understand more about different cultures and know how to contribute and work together to make a better life situation for everybody. When it comes to the programs, we have a lot, I think, and we already done last year a project where for the workforce, to introduce the immigrant to the workforce and get them to understand that just because they are an immigrant, they're not educated, not intelligent. Actually, that will be the opposite. That will be more of an asset to the workforce, because some of them are overeducated. Some of them are doctors, engineers. They did not get here easily, so they are fighters. They fought for their chance. So for that, any workforce will be lucky to have them, because they are more reliable. They're not gonna quit on the job. They fight for their chance. They make themselves available and do extra to prove themselves. There's another misconception also about the immigrants that don't understand English. True, some of them don't really speak much of English, but some of them are highly educated. We have a lot of projects to improve the lifestyle of resident of the city, immigrant and resident alike. And I think you will see a lot of achievement, a lot of things, a lot of milestones for the council. And I really believe a lot in the council, and we'll try our best to make it as beneficial for the public as possible.
It's not just about voicing their opinion, but it's about saying we can do something about these needs and how to reach out to our community and meet those needs as well.
With the development of this position, successes have already been reached within the international community and city government partnership. Because this is a permanent position, the services will be ongoing and continue to benefit our diverse population.
Well, I think it's helped a great deal. One, the program itself, I think it's obvious that as a city, we're concerned about all of our citizens. As a city government, I think having a position devoted, and again, not totally, but devoted to international citizens' issues. People who come here have knowing that their city government cares about what's going on with them. How can we as a city government help all of our people? Trying to deal with all of our citizens in a very positive way. So if a citizen needs something for city government, there's a method, a process which they can get information. And prior to us really involving ourselves with the international community, I think there was frustration with a lot of our international community in trying to get services and information out of city government. And that has improved immensely, the flow of information since Leda has assumed her position as the International Liaison. I think it's fantastic. There are numerous meetings going on, numerous events going on, and Leda does a wonderful job. She's very approachable. One of the things when I first began this, I had actually a pastor asked me, since I am a political, I'm an elected person and elected people come and go, he wanted to know how this issue on trying to help the international community would continue once I was out of office. And I told him that other elected officials obviously would be interested in this and work at it, and our current board does. But with having a position that Leda has, it means that it does continue past whoever's sitting on the Board of Commission. So I felt very comfortable when I could go back to him once the position was created and said, this is the answer. It's not just a political movement. It's not just politics. It is genuinely the city trying to serve its citizens in the best way that we know how.
If you would like to learn more about this or any other Spotlight on Bowling Green program, contact City Hall at 393-3000.